wants me now that you're away.
Jobo's World. Jobo's World was a Spanish platform game from 1994 that has become lost and unplayable today. The game has been mentioned just a couple times on the internet. Back in 2008, a user in a thread stated they were trying to find the game, saying they couldn't find any information about it on the internet. And in 2016, a forum user had made mention of the game as well. They were also looking for the game, claiming it was made by a friend and his brothers. This user also stated that their friend only sold about 20 or 30 copies of this game, so it's definitely rare. There is surprisingly gameplay footage to exist though, which is interesting, knowing only a small amount of copies were sold. Gameplay footage was uploaded to YouTube back in 2010 by a user who goes by StormSpirit86. People have repeatedly asked for them to upload this game, however they just haven't, and the game still to this day remains lost. Minecraft Castle. Minecraft Castle is the first ever fan-made Minecraft video that was uploaded to YouTube, and it has since unfortunately become lost media. The video had been uploaded to YouTube on the 17th of May 2009, just an hour after Notch, the creator of Minecraft, unveiled the alpha release of the game. It was made by a user who goes by Evilville, who would eventually delete the video in 2011. I mean, this is pretty crazy. This is the very first Minecraft video on YouTube made by a fan. Seeing how popular and just how big of a thing Minecraft has become on YouTube, it's wild something like this has become lost media. What's interesting about this video as well is that Minecraft Castle is believed to be the only video that contained video footage of Minecraft's 0.098 build. So many people want this video to be found, and it's no wonder. This video is legendary. Some investigating has revealed that this video had a length of 2 minutes and 58 seconds. It was a 480p video filmed through Camtasia Studio 6. It was also discovered through the Wayback Machine that on the 27th of December 2010, the video had around 65,000 views with 47 likes and 27 dislikes. Since this video did get a decent amount of views, I truly do believe someone out there had downloaded and saved this video before its deletion. If someone did save it, hopefully they learn about it being lost media and decide to release it online. Bumble Tumble. This was an interactive television game from 2001 which was available on Sky UK's TV service. It was a 2D platformer game which involved you having to sneak around a beehive, collecting baby bees while avoiding guard bees and then taking them to bed. The service shut down in 2015, and since the service's closure, Bumble Tumble has been unpreserved and become a piece of lost media. The game is incredibly rare. So far, only one low-quality screenshot of the game has resurfaced. No gameplay footage exists at all. There is a YouTube video which exists that shows 2001 footage of the Sky service and its games. At 23 minutes and 35 seconds, you can see a Bumble Tumble title header flash very briefly. And as well, at 43 minutes and 44 seconds, they go over Bumble Tumble real quick in the game selection menu. They unfortunately don't select Bumble Tumble and show gameplay footage, which is annoying. I guess this is a game which a lot of people loved. Many people have made posts about it online discussing it, and there's even a Twitter account known as Bumble Tumble Remake, an account trying to get the game remade. Hopefully one day more screenshots, actual footage, and, the game itself resurface. '90s VHS show Jumper with frog puppet character. On the Lost Media Wiki forums, a user who goes by Jupiter had made a post discussing a 90s VHS children's show they cannot find anywhere. This is what was posted. Hello. Recently my mum mentioned a children's show called Jumper that my little cousin was obsessed with in the late 90s. So I decided to look it up online and nothing Couldn't find it on Wikipedia, IMDb, YouTube, Google Images, no mentions of it on Reddit or any old forums. It's like the show never existed, but it definitely did. Jumper was similar to a series like Sesame Street, Blue's Clues, Big Comfy Couch, etc. The main characters were a man and a small talking frog puppet character named Jumper. I think Jumper was green with a round yellow belly, and he had a belly button for some reason. There were songs in the show and one lyric stuck in my mind over the years. Blue and yellow, green and purple, monsters are just make-believe. With monsters of those colors flashing on the screen, it may have been red instead of blue, not sure. Yep, I tried googling the lyrics, still nothing. My dad found the VHS tapes of Jumper for like $1 each at a flea market in the San Francisco Bay Area back around 1998, and we gave them to my little cousin who was 3 years old at the time. He would play these tapes over and over. He loved the show just as much as Blue's Clues. My family and I all remember the show being called Jumper and not something else. I'm definitely not thinking of Kermit or Binya Binya from Gullah Gullah Island. I've never seen the show air on TV, so I think it was probably an obscure direct-to-VHS series. It was most likely from the 90s, but it could have been from the 80s, an American series or possibly Canadian. We don't have the VHS tapes anymore. They were donated probably around the mid-2000s. Has anyone out there ever heard of this show at all? So far, no one has been able to identify this children's show. Even with this post getting lots of views and attention, it's still unknown. Does anyone watching this know what it could be? Yu's Place. This was an American TV block hosted by Craig Shimei, which aired from 1996 to 2001 during weekday mornings on WUTV. The interstitials revolved around a puppet host made out of a TV that's in the shape of a U, and was an attempt to imitate the success that was seen by Snit, a Canadian puppet host. For a good while, there was no footage online of this television block. It wasn't until 2021, pretty much 20 years after this block had stopped airing, that footage of it was discovered by a YouTube user who goes by Webox100, who uploaded 90 seconds of footage onto YouTube. A couple months later, another 90 seconds of this block was discovered by user Mejo Kalamthanum, I believe, who as well uploaded their find onto YouTube. As of now, these two clips are the only available footage that exists of Yu's Place. The rest remain completely lost. Treasure. Treasure was an animated series that was based on an old newspaper column. The show revolves around a teenage girl who goes by Treasure. She is very troublesome, and in these episodes, her mother and grandmother attempt to control her behavior. This series ran on BBC Two in the UK and YTV in Canada, airing from 2001 to 2002. 13 episodes of this show are believed to have been made, and so far only just 5 of these have been found and uploaded online, while the rest remain lost and missing. May AIDS Christmas 2009, aka YouTube Hacked. Back on Christmas Day 2009, YouTube had been hacked. Many different video thumbnails on the platform had been getting changed to different random images. The one responsible for this hack is believed to be a user who goes by MayAids. The reason people think that this was the user is due to one of the hacked thumbnail images being Piano-chan, MayAids' profile picture at the time. There were also thumbnails that got switched to an image of the creator and owner of YouTube, a YTP forum May would often go on. There's a rumor that a video was posted by May titled YouTube Hacked, and in this video, May would perform the hack to YouTube. This YouTube hacked video hasn't resurfaced at all. In fact, this video's existence is unconfirmed. There's really no true evidence to prove that it's actually real or ever even existed. MTV's Advance Warning. In the 2000s, MTV had aired a series known as Advance Warning. In this series, they would talk to different upcoming artists that had been making some noise and were gaining traction. This show would also become MTV's first ever international show, as this series would air in other countries with different hosts interviewing their local artists. On the Lost Media Wiki forums, a user who goes by SSJ02 had spent hours looking through MTV archives on the Wayback Machine and managed to make a list of all the artists that were discussed in nearly every American episode. This is pretty fascinating stuff. SSJ02 states that the reason this series interests them so much is because many of the artists in this series would go on to have very successful careers. And the interviews in this series would have been the first interviews before making it big. Apparently Luke Fiasco's first ever interview was on this series, and of course, it has become lost media. Pretty much all of the episodes from the series has become lost. All-Star Game World. All-Star Game World was this Australian interactive games channel that was made by a company known as All-Star, which has since turned into Foxtel. It launched back in 2007 on channel 555. It contained many different games, with some of these games even being based on stuff like Scooby-Doo and Ben 10. Eventually in 2009, the channel was terminated and none of these games are playable today. The only gameplay footage that exists of this service and these games come from a YouTube user who goes by GH Pictures Workbox, who uploaded 4 videos showing one game each. Three Birds and a Snake by Scott Cawthon. Scott Cawthon is a video game developer best known for his creation of the Five Nights at Freddy's series. Before Five Nights at Freddy's, Scott would often make movies and animations. In the late 90s and early 2000s, often making films and animations related to birds. While looking through archives of old newspapers, a user who goes by Coffee on the Lost Scott Games Discord managed to find evidence of a lost animation, known as Three Birds and a Snake. The animation was mentioned in 2 different newspaper articles from 1999 and 1998. The article from 1998 mentions the animation was made in 1997. Scott Cawthon was in college during this time, so it's believed that this animation was likely a college demo reel. Three Birds and a Snake was a part of an indie short film and video showcase, and aired January 5th at 11 PM on Austin PBS KLRU. Maybe someone had recorded this animation while it was airing on TV, but as of now, this incredibly old piece of Scott Cawthon media hasn't resurfaced, and it remains completely lost. Inigo Pipkin. Inigo Pipkin, which was later just changed to Pipkins, was a British puppet TV program that was produced by ATV and aired on ITV starting 1973. The show was sort of similar to Sesame Street, with it being created to be the British successor to the series. During the making of the second season, actor George Woodbridge, who played the character Inigo, had unfortunately passed from a heart attack. While creating the later episodes for that season, the writers wrote into the script that Inigo's absence was due to a fishing holiday. When the season ended, the writers voted against ending the show, and they made a bold decision to kill off the character and rename the show to Pipkins. And in the first episode of the third season, his death was announced. This would predate Sesame Street's infamous episode that discussed the topic of death by pretty much a decade. Something like this in children's programming was unheard of at the time. The show would go on to continue for a long time and would eventually end 1981. 333 episodes of this show were made and aired, and so far, only around half have resurfaced. Many have become lost media. Mario Motors. At the 2018 Reboot Develop Conference, a popular game designer who goes by Yuji Saito had revealed the existence of a cancelled DS Mario game known as Mario Motors. Saito discussed how during the early 2000s he would often catch up with Miyamoto and Iwata for tea, and would chat and talk about game ideas. After being asked by Iwata what he was lately interested in, he answered saying he had been interested in sculpting chunks of metal, and explained a crazy game idea he had. This game idea consisted of a Mario Kart game which involved players building engines and different car parts out of chunks of metal. Iwata and Miyamoto thought this was an interesting project idea and said they would try to give it a shot. Saito couldn't give an exact reason on why the game was eventually cancelled, and it's unknown how far development went. All we have on Mario Motors is some concept art. Donkey Kong Country Horror Series. So, not too long ago, I got sent an Instagram message telling me about a strange lost YouTube series. They commented on one of my videos about this and sent over the comment to me on Instagram. This is what the comment had said. So I have a lost media for you to cover that needs way more coverage. So one day, my friend was telling me about what old YouTube was like. They talked about the humor, the things people put on YouTube, and then they talked about flash animations of Nintendo games. Then they told me about this extremely dark and ominous Donkey Kong Country fan animated series. They said it was about the Kremlings being fed up after countless losses at the hands of the Kongs, so they decided to go full force and go to war on the entire island. But this time they had a lot more artillery and weaponry. They told me they remember scenes of Funky Kong dying, Donkey Kong dying, and a scene where Diddy Kong watched Dixie get stabbed in the back and through the chest. It wasn't like a creepypasta animation like Sonic.exe, said it made them terrified as a kid. They can't remember the name, but they remember it was an episodic story, each episode being roughly 8 to 12 minutes in length, and that they watched the series in either 2008, 2009, 2010, or 2011. It contained the original Donkey Kong Country sprites, but with additional pixelated blood art, similar to old Mortal Kombat games. They said they aren't too sure since it was a decade ago. Personally, I have not found much of a lead besides comments that comes from a Donkey Kong wiki about the Great Ape War, and it mentions deleted fan-related content. There are comments on the post of people who may also remember the fan-created content. I hope that is a lead and not a dead end. The final note I made was my best friend remember it being centered around war, talking about the war between Kong and Kremling. The word war is also possible in the title of this fan animated series. If anyone has any leads on this, let me know, cause I honestly am curious what a Donkey Kong Country horror series would even look like. This is a recreation image of what the video could have looked like. This sounds wild. I just wanted to share this cause I found this really interesting, and yeah, hopefully you all do too. Is this still up on YouTube? Does anyone remember this? DKTV. To help promote the release of Donkey Kong 64, a microsite was created known as DKTV, made by Experience Pop and published by Nintendo. This website featured so many different things, and pretty much everything from this site has become lost media. This website featured a web series known as the DK Gorilla Project. It was a spoof of the horror film The Blair Witch Project. It of course involved a group of friends filming themselves stuck lost in the woods. Instead of investigating the mystery of the Blair Witch, they are investigating Donkey Kong. 6 episodes of this web series were made, and only 2 screenshots have been recovered. It's all lost. The website also featured this news type series called the DK64 Beatdown, which would discuss the main playable characters in the game. 5 episodes were made, and all of them are lost. 4 screenshots of each episode except for Donkey Kong's have resurfaced. There was also a series called DK Island's Most Wanted, which was a parody of America's Most Wanted that discussed all the main bosses. 6 episodes were made, and all of them have become lost, with only 5 screenshots resurfacing. National Geographic was another parody series on this website, obviously parodying National Geographic. This series would discuss the main levels in the game. 5 episodes were made, and all are lost. Only the logo and 3 screenshots have been found. On the website was a section known as Bye 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 that featured 3 different promotional videos. Only the logo has been found. There was also a section known as Monkey Mail, which included flash animations that you could email to friends. These flash animations have become lost. Only the logo has been saved. There was also a sitcom-like series featured on the website, which is incredibly unknown. 5 episodes were made, however, no screenshots have resurfaced. Only the logo for it has been preserved. And the DK Rap Attack. This was a rap contest where people would submit their own versions of the DK rap in an attempt to win. So far, only the grand prize winner's video has been found. All the runner-up videos that were on the website have become lost. So yeah, a lot of stuff from this website. The only things that really were saved are the games that were featured on the games channel. On this website was a games channel which featured simple flash games, and all of these have been saved and archived and are still playable today. But yeah, it's just crazy how much media was on this DKTV website, and it's all just become lost. Exploding toads. Back on the National Geographic Kids website, a music video was available to watch titled Exploding Toads. This music video would feature actual exploding toads. This video has become lost. The webpage had been archived, however the video had not, and has since become missing. Definitely an interesting video to put onto the National Geographic Kids website. I'm very curious as to what this video actually looked like. Nicktoon World News. Nicktoon World News was a block that aired in 2001 and was animated by the creator of Kablam. The block would feature Henry and June from Kablam, who would advertise and report the different upcoming films and series that were coming to Nickelodeon. This had run for around half a year, and it's unknown how many bumpers were made and aired. Two that are still lost include a bumper where Henry and June promote and talk about the Hunchback of Notre Dame 2. No footage of this bumper has resurfaced except one screenshot. And another lost one is a bumper that features Henry making bleep sounds that are similar to each segment's opening. But yeah, those are just two that are known to be lost. Who knows how many different bumpers of this block are still yet to be found. It's Fred mobile app. In 2012, a company that goes by Thruster had released a mobile game known as It's Fred, which of course was based off the YouTube character Fred Figglehorn. In the game, you would play as Fred and try to beat Kevin in a dance-off. You would be able to collect potatoes, which you could then use to purchase different t-shirts and props. The game has become this really rare unknown thing. There really isn't a lot of footage of it online. And yeah, the game has become lost and unplayable. Power Masters. Power Masters was an animated series from 1987 that was based on a line of action figures and vehicles of the same name. The show followed the adventures of a group of humans called the Power Masters. These Power Masters would possess unique talking vehicles known as Functionoids and attempt to stop an alien robot invasion who were trying to steal gold. The series is super unknown. It never aired after its first airing and has become majorly forgotten about. A user on YouTube who goes by Professor Doc has uploaded different scattered clips from 3 episodes of this show. This is all that has been found of this series. Wawate TV Kids. This was an early 2000s educational puppet show that aired in Canada for the OG Cray communities. It would include different live segments and have puppets who would teach and talk about the culture, indigenous storytelling, and have Ojibwe language learning segments. It's not really known how many episodes were made, but so far all we have of this show is the first 3 episodes of season 2. No other episodes have been found. Back to the Future Australian PSA. Back to the Future is a very popular movie from the 80s. I'm sure most of you have seen. It needs no introduction. In the movie, there are scenes where Michael J. Fox holds onto the back of moving cars while riding his skateboard. I guess since this was seen as dangerous and maybe kids would copy this, an Australian PSA was aired exclusively on television, which starred Michael J. Fox warning viewers not to copy the character's behavior. This PSA hasn't resurfaced since, and it has fallen into major obscurity, never seen the light of day since it aired back in the 80s. Pokemate. This was a mobile phone game which had been developed by Square Enix and released back in 2006. In this Pokemate game, you would capture and take care of Pokemon and chat with other players. The game had been only available in Japan, however was shown off at E3 in 2008 with expectations of getting a wider release. This had never gone through though. It wasn't a very popular game when it was available and eventually got discontinued in 2008. There is no way to play this game anymore, and the only thing left of it is some gameplay footage and screenshots. The Bigfoot Halloween Adventure. This was an obscure 3D animated television series that had been produced by a company known as Gorilla Pictures. The show was based on one of their older movies called The Legend of Sasquatch. 26 episodes of this show had been made, each episode having a runtime of 22 minutes. And so far, no episodes have been found. The only things which have been found so far include some screenshots, information about the series, and a trailer which all come from an old website. The show is a complete mystery. It's not known when or where the show aired. There was a DVD cover for the series discovered on an old website. It's unknown if this was ever released. Clay Fighter: Call of Putty. A sequel for the game Clay Fighter was planned to be released for the DSi and Wii back around 2010. It was to be an updated version of Clay Fighter, Sculptor's Cut. Not much is known about this cancelled game. It was planned to have a few things like a story mode, training mode, and multiplayer mode. And in a Nintendo Power magazine, the game characters were listed. The only thing left of this game are a handful of screenshots. Curly's Adventure. Curly's Adventure was a point-and-click PC adventure game that had been cancelled and never saw the light of day. The game would have revolved around a man named Curly who was trapped in a big mental asylum with many different delusional patients who are allowed to live their fantasies in an environment that reconstitutes them in real life. The description of the game is insane. The whole thing is run by an evil scientist. This game started development back in 1995 and development for it would continue until its cancellation in 1999. The only things that are left available of this long forgotten game include a few preview screenshots and a downloadable demo, which all come from an old archived website. Minecraft: Strange House Found on My World. So on the Lost Media Wiki forums, a user who goes by Flamsy had made a post talking about a lost Minecraft YouTube video. They are searching for a video titled Minecraft: Strange House Found on My World, and all they have of this video is some different screenshots. The like to dislike ratio on this video is wild. The video cannot be that bad, can it? According to Flamsy, the video had no commentary, only text. There was a cobblestone tower and railroad that the player themselves lived in. The structure itself kinda looked like the in-dev house, but there was an expensive underground part to it. They could be getting some parts wrong, but they remember watching this video and Deadskin's very popular video with a similar name at their friend's house. But yeah, this video is still lost and missing. Wazoo What a Zoo. This was a CG animated show that aired on TVO Kids back in 2004. The series was a modified dub of a French Disney Channel series, with both of these being Lost Media. It was about aliens who discover Earth and humans, and them learning all about the different things on the planet. 25 episodes of this show were created, and all of them except for just one are lost. Cybermon. Cybermon is an old Facebook game that was similar to Pokemon, which has since shut down and has become unplayable. It involved many different monsters which you could evolve and whatnot. The game is not very documented, only some of the monsters from this game have been archived. There are still many monster sprites which have become lost and missing entirely. But yeah, do any of you remember this game? 2 Mario Screamer videos. On the Lost Media Wiki, a user had made a post discussing 2 Mario Screamer videos they had once seen and were trying to find. Back in my childhood, around the years 2008 to 2013, I was a fan of Mario. I watched on YouTube a big amount of videos of this franchise, mostly about Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario World. This is where the topic from the title begins. I remember seeing 2 screamers related to it back then. Before you ask, both of them were in English. This is Screamer 1. The title of this video was something around the words Super Mario Bros. Death, which showed the first level of this game. I think it was in low VHS quality like in Super Mario Bros. Speedruns from the early 2000s, but I'm not 100% sure about it. It would have Mario run into a Goomba and get killed by it. However, 1 second after showing the world in live screen, the video cuts to the Screamer itself, which was the black and white picture of eyes closed shut tightly of some random guy. Interestingly, it didn't appear with a typical scream as an audio. it appears with a loud static sound effect. The video itself was around 13 to 16 seconds long, and because I saw it only once, I don't think it had a big amount of views. 99% sure I watched it around 2010 to 2011. And this is Screamer 2. This was a gameplay of the first level in Mario Forever, a PC fan game. It had a title something around the words of Mario Fever first level in 47 seconds. I don't know what was the exact number, but it was around 4 something. It was just a typical gameplay of the first level from this game. 90% sure it had no sound in the background. However, just before or after Mario reaches the goal, the video cuts to the screamer. Unfortunately, I don't remember what the screamer looked like. I think it was accompanied with a scream, but I'm not too sure about it. I don't even remember exactly when I watched. 80% sure it was also probably in 2010, but it could be also around 2012. It also was the only time when I watched it. I have tried to search both of these screamers everywhere. It isn't anywhere mentioned on the Screamer wiki. Try to search it on YouTube with exact words in quotation marks term before 2012, but I couldn't find even any info about it. Because it was a long time ago and these videos weren't so popular, I'm afraid both of them were already deleted from YouTube, but still, I prefer to mention about it on here. Maybe someone somehow also remembers any of these videos? They would go on to post an edit detailing some more information about these lost screamers. I'm not going to read this out loud, but yeah, you can pause here if you want to read it, or if you want to go check out the original post. So yeah, just some lost Mario Screamer videos you might be interested in. Have any of you seen these? Hopefully they get found. You Do Too. This was a British Nick Jr. show which ran from the years 2002 to 2004. This show followed a character who goes by Wendy and her 2 puppet friends, and they would read mail sent in by viewers. The show has become pretty forgotten about. 26 episodes were made, and so far only around half have resurfaced. Skylander Boy and Girl Swap Force rap song. I'm sure if you were a kid during the 2010s and you were a Skylander fan, you grew up watching the Skylander Boy and Girl. This was a channel I used to watch all the time. There is interestingly a video from this channel which has become lost media. This was a rap video rapping about the E3 Skylanders announcements of 2013. The only thing which has survived of this video is the thumbnail and lyrics. The video is completely lost, nowhere to be found. Monster Farm. This is an obscure animated show from Saban that aired 1 season for around a year on the Fox Family Network on a block called The Basement. This series revolved around a man named Jack Haley who inherited a farm from his great uncle. On the farm, he discovers a bunch of strange animals and they must work together to save the world from the curiosity seekers threatening Earth. 52 episodes of this show were apparently made, and only 26 of these episodes aired in English and Russian. Many episodes and the different dubs of this show have become lost and missing, and the series has mostly fallen into obscurity. Alvis Presley, Traffic Safety and Driver Education. On September 20th, 1957, Alvis Presley had made an appearance on the TV station WKNO to inform viewers about traffic safety and driver education. This appearance and event has become lost media, and right now only just a few photos of it exist online. Gush's Redo Your Room. Also known as Gush's Place, was an online flash game website that had been made to promote the Fruit Gush's Redo Your Room sweepstakes that was happening back in 2005. Within this flash game, players would be assigned a room. Players could then be able to customize it using different furniture and items. By purchasing Fruit Gush's snacks, players could then obtain codes, and by entering these codes, could unlock new items and furniture for the room. Players could as well check out other users' rooms and be able to mess it up. This game has become lost and is now unplayable. There is no gameplay footage to exist of this game. Slime Time Live. Slime Time Live was a game show that started airing on Nickelodeon in the year 2000 and ending a few years later in 2004. It was made to promote Nickelodeon's launch of Double Dare 2000, a remake of an old classic game show that also involved slime. What's so funny about this though is that Double Dare 2000 only had one season, while Slime Time Live lasted almost 4 years, going way further than the show it was meant to promote. Pretty much all of the episodes from this game show have become lost media. There's only just a few full found episodes, while the rest are yet to resurface. Chip and Peppa's Cartoon Madness. This was an NBC TV series produced by Deke Entertainment, which featured Canadian brothers Chip and Peppa Foster. This series would include interviews, skits, and old cartoon screenings. The series aired very briefly, only lasting around a year from 1991 to 1992. So far, only one episode has been found, with it being posted onto Vimeo. All the other episodes from the show are still yet to resurface. V-Birds Perfect. The V-Birds was a British virtual cartoon girl group that was created back in 2002 by Cartoon Network. This group only ever dropped one single that was known as Virtually, which got pretty popular at the time and managed to get number 21 on the UK charts in 2003. In 2002, a V-Birds cartoon was made that was split up into 5 parts and aired during Cartoon Network's commercial breaks. Then, the next year in 2003, a series known as V-Birds Perfect had aired. IMDb states that this series was a music and dance related show, separate from the main V-Birds cartoon that ran the year before, and only lasted one season on Cartoon Network UK. As of today, the only thing that exists of this series is one promotional advert. Not a single episode of this series has been found. It has become completely lost. Big Bible Town. Big Bible Town was an online multiplayer game that had been released back in 2010 by a company known as Third Day Games. This game would teach biblical values and lessons while set in the 1st century. In it, you would be able to construct your own church-centric town, collect tokens, and buy different costumes and pets. According to the Big Bible Town Twitter, the game was announced to be put onto iOS, however there's no proof this ever went through. The game would eventually shut down, and has since become unplayable and lost. The only gameplay footage of it to exist today comes from the official Big Bible Town YouTube channel. Subway by James Murray. Impractical Jokers is a really funny comedy show. I'm sure you've seen it. If you haven't, surely you've at least heard of it. I highly recommend, if you haven't watched it, to go check it out. One of the friends on Impractical Jokers is James Murray, who on the show goes by Mur. Mur released a short film back in 2002 known as Subway. Other than just 2 clips, the film has become lost media. This was a horror film that was around 7 minutes in length. This is the description of the film by Mur. Somewhere in the subway, a man preys upon innocent women. Sometimes he succeeds, sometimes he doesn't. The subway can be a frightening place, especially when the predator becomes the prey. An experiment in lighting and sound, Subway makes us question what is real and what is only in our mind. Subway was submitted to many different film festivals and had actually won at 2. So far, all that's been found is 2 different trailers and 3 promotional images. Spoony Melodies. During the early 1930s, Warner Brothers had produced a series of live-action shorts known as the Spoony Melodies. These shorts would feature animation backed by covers of the popular music at the time. They were essentially music videos, as footage of the singer would also be included. It's believed that 5 shorts in total were created, and so far, only just one of these has been found, as this found short was included on the Looney Tunes Golden Collection, Volumes 1 and 6. The rest still remain completely lost. Roly Poly Oly Test Pilot. Roly Poly Oly is a pretty popular children's show that I'm sure some of you are aware of. It was made back in 1997 and was the first cartoon created for preschoolers that made use of CGI animation. Roly Poly Oly first started as a painting done by William Joyce. There were no intentions at all for these characters to become a TV show. An employee from Winlight Studios had tracked down William and eventually would ask about creating a test animation using these characters in the painting. In 1997, a test pilot animation was developed, with William having all creative control. The pilot had followed around Pooli and his dog Spot, giving out newspapers to his neighbors. The dog Spot mistakes the throwing of newspapers for a game of fetch, and this game of fetch goes on until Spot jumps into a baby's bassinet. There was also music from the 1930s Little Rascals in the pilot. This pilot hasn't seen the light of day, and all we have are some screenshots and some concept art. Exploring Frogs. Exploring Frogs is a lost educational CD-ROM game from 2001. It was made by COG Limited and Interactive for All. This was featured in an education frog biology kit made by Tedco Toys. The search for this game would begin back in 2023 when a user who goes by Wembley on the Lost Media Wiki Discord would talk about his experience with this game and how he couldn't find anything about it. I played this early 2000s computer game as a kid but have never been able to locate any media from the actual gameplay despite knowing the name. My disc is damaged beyond use unfortunately, but I have this photo of the disc. It is called Exploring Frogs. This game hasn't at all resurfaced. Even gameplay footage hasn't been found. Donkey Kong no Ogongaku Asabi, hoping I didn't butcher that, but also known as Donkey Kong's Fun with Music, was an educational game from 1983 that was planned to release for the Famicom, which would teach players music. The game was eventually cancelled though and never saw the light of day. Only screenshots of the game exist. Back in 2013, a user had made an interesting comment on an article that talked about the game, stating that they actually played this before on one of those 4-in-1 bootleg cartridges. However, they said they lost the cartridge a long time ago. Maybe the game exists somewhere out there, but on an old bootleg Famicom or NES cartridge, who knows. McDonald's baby shower commercial. On the Lost Media Wiki forums, a user who goes by Dev had made a post back in May 2019. They were in search of a missing McDonald's commercial they haven't been able to find anywhere. Greetings, I need help locating a McDonald's commercial from around early 2004. The commercial starts off with some woman at presumably a family member or friend's baby shower. The women all look bored and, more importantly, hungry. A disembodied voice is narrating through all of this to the tune of a Rockabye Baby, until it cuts to one woman who says, "You call this a luncheon? I'm starving." Then the women all go to McDonald's for some lunch. I've looked all over the internet and YouTube for this commercial, but to no avail. It shouldn't be this hard to find a commercial from only 15 years ago, should it? Any help would be great. Dev went on to say that they saw this in Houston, Texas, and stated when they actually remember seeing this commercial play. You know, I do remember a specific time and place when I saw this ad quite often. It was during spring break of 2004. This would have been roughly around late March, early April, I think. I remember it being the weekend, and I remember spending that weekend watching a marathon of Mad TV on Comedy Central. I think the only reason I remember this specific time, place, event is because the ad played during every commercial break of that marathon. Many people over the years have tried to help find this commercial, but nobody has yet. Dev has looked through many ad compilations on YouTube, however, still is unsuccessful with uncovering it, and it remains just a memory. The Crunch. The Crunch was a morning TV block that aired from 2005 to 2006 on Nickelodeon UK. It was broadcasted daily live in the basement of Nick Towers, presenting different skits, games, and more. This would run between different shows on Nickelodeon. It was an interactive show that gave kids an active role in production, and viewers watching could engage with the show online. Each episode had a crew of 4 kids who would help out with different production tasks, with this kid crew also being included within the games and skits in the show. There were 400 episodes made. In 2023, an episode from April 9th, 2005 had been uncovered by YouTube user TV World Show Hunter. Other than this episode though, all the other episodes have become lost, aside from a variety of brief clips. Space Ace NES Port. Space Ace is an old arcade game you might be familiar with. There were plans for a port of this arcade game to come onto the Nintendo Entertainment System. In it, you would have played as Ace and attempted to save Kimberly from Borf. The port was eventually cancelled and was likely cancelled due to the Super Nintendo releasing while the port was being developed. The only evidence we have of this port's existence comes from a 1991 issue of Italian games magazine Console Mania. This advertisement would include 2 different screenshots. These screenshots are all we have on the game. No other info or any other gameplay footage or screenshots has seen the light of day. Club Pogo. Club Pogo was a Flash Games website that was subscription based. It launched back in 2003 and was a premium version of Pogo.com. In 2020, many of the games on this website had been removed, with of course the discontinuation of Flash. And since the games were locked behind a paywall, it was a subscription based website, many didn't have luck downloading and saving the game files before their removal. There were 39 games on this website available to play through the subscription, and all of these have become lost and unplayable. Every game has surviving gameplay footage, however none of the games are now playable. Kiran Ashita no Calendar. This was an anime that aired on MBS TV and TBS TV back in 1980, and finished around 4 years later in 1984. There were a lot of episodes created, a total of 1,306 episodes to be exact, which is wild considering it only ran for like 4 years. The anime revolves around Kathy, a cat, and a mouse, who teach about historical events in a stage play format. Despite there being so many episodes for this anime series, no episodes at all have resurfaced. This is likely due to the show never airing outside of Japan and never being re-aired after it ended in 1984. All that has been found of the series is the intro. Dr. Craven's formula for great storytelling. Back in 1999, an educational video had been distributed to different American elementary schools. This video was known as Dr. Craven's formula for great storytelling and was made to teach students about writing stories. Domino's Pizza had funded the production of this video. Dr. Cravens was apparently an advertising mascot made by Domino's. He was a living action figure who would attempt to steal the pizzas Domino's were delivering to customers. So yeah, he was featured in this educational video which taught students how to write a story. His attempts to order pizza had shown the 5 elements of a story. TVA Media Group has stated that this video was seen by around 5.5 million people, as it was shown in over 50,000 elementary schools. The video was only in VHS format and was never released to the public. It was only made for these schools to see. There are apparently 2 copies that exist, each being at different libraries in Illinois. The Car Show. This was a British series from 1997 that aired on Channel 5, made to rival BBC's Top Gear. The series is known for featuring the earliest presenting role of James May, who was best known for being on Top Gear, so that's pretty funny. Only 2 episodes of this show have resurfaced, no other episodes have been found.